Two Babies in a Business, a podcast about business, marketing, growth, strategy, staff, clients, our babies, our marriage. I'm Christina. And this is my husband, Peter. We're the leaders, we're the founders of CIPR Communications. And today we're talking about, I feel like, something very integral to what took us to the next level in our business.
Coaching.
Coaching. There we go. Thank you. You should need like a drum roll.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about today. Coaching is, like you said, pretty integral to the growth of our business and probably as a married couple. This is just sort of for all those married couples that may be out there listening, business couples. Coach is probably one of the most important things you can do. I think the number of arguments we've had about work has declined to zero since we've gotten a coach, really, truly, which is pretty amazing and remarkable.
Yeah, we kind of alluded to it last time when we were talking about like the spreadsheet and communicating as a married couple, but like it's tough. And I feel like you and I communicate so well personally that we almost take it for granted from a business sense. Like I look back to early days, and I think for me, I made a lot of assumptions about what you knew or didn't know, or what you were doing or not doing, because in regular life, we are really in sync when it comes to that stuff, right? Like getting the boys ready for school in the morning. I don't even think we even discuss anything anymore. You know, you've just started on breakfast. I'm making lunches. One of us is brushing teeth. We have this really natural flow. And in business, of course, we have that flow too. But like, there's also this whole like growing a business and strategic piece that needs discussion and conflict. And, you know, I think it was difficult for us to find our groove just the two.
Yeah. And I think I was excited, and I'll just sort of put a plug in for Steve Osmond, our coach, who's amazing. Rhapsody Strategies, which is an amazing organization. Really, really, truly. What I really love about them is the structure and the structured approach and the research-based approach. And, like the way that he started with us is basically giving us each like a fairly in-depth questionnaire about all aspects of our business. And then, having Christina do her questionnaire and me doing my questionnaire, and then comparing answers. It's like super eye-opening in terms of, oh, this is what you think about these things versus what I think about these things. And it's like, without that kind of structured thing, like I just don't know that there's any other mechanism to have that kind of conversation. Like, who sits down and talks about how do you feel about finances, and how do you feel about planning for the future, and how do you feel about that, right? Like, it's just sort of like, yeah, so that's that really structured approach was integral. And I really like, what Rhapsody does as well, in terms of, they show you your results, and then they show you the results of every business that they've ever done, like 31,000 business leaders or something. And what was remarkable to me about that, it really stuck out for me and continues to, is that like, wow, all these pressures we're facing and all these things that we have difficulties with are exactly the same what every business out there is facing too. It's like, we're not special. Like, this is business. These are the struggles. These are the things people, sort of are challenged with, right? So it's super eye-opening, right?
Yeah, it's really, I think WSI helped me feel a part of a community, but this did even more. And like for me, I do like structure, and like I did really thrive on, okay, I have a boss, and here's your review, and here's the things you're working on. Like, I like that. I'm very goal oriented and goal driven. And I think when you're running your own business, like I can't walk into my boss's office and go like, hey, what'd you think about that? Am I a great employee? Right. Yeah. And so there's this, for me, at least, there's somebody that is cheering us on now. And there's somebody that like can really speak to us objectively and ask the right questions. And I mean, Steve has seen me cry. I don't think he's seen you cry yet. But right, like he watches us go through all these emotions. And it's just this other person to help us put it back together, because it's, as much as we've been doing this for how many ever years we've been doing it now, whenever we get to the next phase, it's still new. Like, it's still something new that we're doing. And that can be scary.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and what I like about it too is it really is like forced time to work on your business. And I remember like, and I know this is gonna maybe sound pompous or arrogant or something, I don't know, but like I, as the visionary of the company, spend a lot of time dreaming and
Keep,
thinking about where we're going in direction. And you're very head down, very focused, and very kind of just task, get the job done, do the work. And I, for me, it was sort of like, you know, having a coach and having sort of the process and having him get you to a place where it's like, no, you need to get out of the business and start working on the business was like a major transformational thing for us. Right. And it sort of, I think, got you into a place where you're like, oh, like, I'm not just like going to be doing marketing and communications work for clients for my whole life. Like, that's not the end goal here. That's part of what we do. But it's like, hey, we need to create structures and processes and systems and hire the right people and all. There's so much, right? I mean, there's so much that goes on in building a business. It's like mind boggling, right? And it's like, so like the coach really is just like forced time to sit down and think about it, talk it through, really kind of check in on how we're both feeling on these things.
it saves time just for us. Like I truly before and even some days still don't feel like I have time for me. Right. And as much as it's forced time about the business, but like it's also forced time for me. Like we talk about, okay, what's our roles and how are they different and how do they change? I think back to the like when it really clicked for me that a coach was an important thing. I never was like, oh, a coach is bad and we don't need one, but it never crossed my mind. Like it was never something that I thought, oh, this will benefit us
I
or
think with your personality, it's like, why would I need a coach? I know exactly what I need to do, right?
it's true. And we were at our WSI training, and Neil Lappy said during one of the sessions that like Serena Williams has a coach, and started naming all these famous athletes. And Serena Williams stuck out to me because just kind of a few months prior, I had gone to the Zoom conference and she had been a major speaker. And she was a new mom too, and kind of talking about her businesses. And she really resonated with me. And so that like thought stuck. And that's really what led me to approaching Steve and saying, hey, like, I guess superstars like me need a coach.
Yeah.
Like it's funny how things click, but like I think the right analogy at the right time allows you to kind of open your mind to that piece.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah. And I just say, yeah, like it's, I feel like even our conversations with Steve, with our coach, have really evolved, and our conversation with each other's have evolved as a result of having that coach. And I recall just the last conversation we had with him about like, this podcast and our interesting content strategy, which is what we're sort of trying to execute with this, is be more interesting and be more engaging. And remember talking about like, normally I would have just like went to Christina's office. Hey, I have this great idea. And she's like in the middle of like trying to like, execute 40 clients worth of work. And she's like overwhelmed. And I'm running with my great ideas to her every 5 minutes. And it's like, and it's like to the point of like, now I'm like, okay, I have this great idea. I'm going to think it through. I'm going to put this research into it. I'm going to put this effort into it. And the right time to bring it up is during this conversation with our coach. Right. I mean, it's like, I feel like it's like, we're like completely different people in a different company as a result of the process, right? Like you gotta respect a good process, right?
Thank you.
And a coach will put you through a process that's thought out and deliberate that maybe you just as an entrepreneur don't have time to even think about, in terms of how to sort of really approach and structure and think about your business, right?
Well, and like that, but also we're a married couple, obviously, but like we know lots of friends that are in businesses together. And it's like some of those process related conversations become hard because I think, especially for us, it becomes this like, oh, well, he's telling me what to do, or right. It you can't help but let the personal seep in. And it's true. Like if I look back to the last year, because it's been I think nearly a year that we've
Seems like it.
longer. I think a year and
longer.
a half. Like we're going on a 2-year mark, maybe. I feel like a business owner now. I feel like an entrepreneur. I can comfortably call myself that, and I can feel like an expert in that. And I don't there was even this transformational time for me. I don't know if you remember when I like updated my business card to CEO, but for the longest time I had chief strategist because that's what I felt I was. Okay, I'm doing strategy for clients and okay, I can own this title and I feel confident there. But it was like all of a sudden I was like, no, like I'm running this. Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah. So this is advice to any business out there, especially married couples running a business together, is get a coach. Think about the coach though. I think not all coaches are equal. And that's not to say that some coaches are better than others. There's just different approaches and different people might need a different approach at a different time. Like, there's coaches that are more like personal coaches that help you kind of just personally motivate. Then this is, Steve has a very structured, this is how to, the business development process. How do you develop your business over time? Very structured approach. And so make sure that when you are talking to coaches, you sort of really understand what exactly kind of coaching style they have and what their exactly process is, and understand if that's a fit for what you need. Because again, I think there's lots of coaches out there and they do all kinds of different things, different ways, and maybe in different times you might need a different type of coach, right?
It's true. And I think, from a marketing tip perspective, as you're searching for a marketing company that's a fit for you, like, don't be afraid in that onboarding process or that prospecting process to ask, like, what are your growth plans as an agency? Or how do you set up your business processes? Or like, there's a fit there too. And like, not every agency is right for you, right? Like, we are a high growth, fast paced agency at this point. And, if you just need someone to tinker in the corner, then there are awesome agencies and freelancers that do that. And I think it's an important conversation that, similar to that, like find the right match for a business coach. It's like find the right match for your business when you're hiring your accountant, when you're hiring your marketing person. I think it's something we overlook because we just kind of go for like price sometimes, or a million Google reviews or whatever it is, but that personally fits huge.
Totally. 100% agree.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll see Steve next week.
We will. Yeah, maybe we'll throw him this episode.
True. Well, thank you.
Take care.
Love you.
Bye.
3, 2, 1.